What do you make of the challenge of North this weekend?
Well, for the past 5 times we've played them, they've beaten us comprehensively. So it's a big challenge, and you know, we need to change around what's happened over the last 5 occasions, and probably the bottom line is we've got to come out and be a lot fiercer around the contest than we have been in those particular games. And if we can be, then we'll be way more competitive than we have been.
How do you address last week? Is it just to put it down to learning and move on, or did you feel there was a drop-off in maybe intensity and polish?
No, not at all. We lost that game in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, 1 minute before half time and 3 minutes after half time. So other than that, we're really good at a ground where it's difficult to win. I think they've only been beaten down there 3 times in the last 3 years, Geelong, and that's been by Sydney each time. So no, we were just disappointed with that patch. But other than that, we thought we played really competitive footy.
Do you use the previous history against North as a reference? You know, do you look much at that video, or do you look more at their recent stuff?
Yeah, no, look, we need to look at it and explore the reasons why. And the bottom line is, on most occasions, they've been able to beat us at contested ball and beat us at clearances, and they've got an advantage in that area and got the ball into their dangerous forwards and scored heavily against us. So that's the thing that we have to address. As it is in most games, I mean, you're always trying to win that battle, but you know, the bottom line is that North have beaten us by an average of 58 points, I think, the last 5 games. So to not look at the history and as to why that's happened, then we'd be foolish. So we've had a good close look at it.
It's an area that you said you wanted to see an improvement in a few weeks ago, was the contested ball, and each week you seem to have jumped up a little bit. Are you happy with how that's progressing?
Yeah, we're better this year than we were last year. We are making progress with it, but there's still more room for improvement.
Is that why a guy like Brandon Sarsfield gets a chance? He's described as a bit of a beast and an animal around the contest and thrives in that scenario? Yeah,
it's partly that, and it's partly giving young players a go. We're still in the business of developing our team, and you know, he's been in good form over the last couple of weeks in the NEFL, and he is a strong-bodied player, so it should suit the environment that we'll be in tomorrow.
What's he like as a guy? I saw that video when you announced his debut. You said you're a man of few words. That can usually indicate you're either shy or you're direct and you only speak when you need to speak.
No, he's just a quiet young bloke. He's fairly typical of most 18-year-olds in their first year in an AFL environment. But no, he's got a quiet confidence about him, and he plays the game with a real fierceness. So you know, it's more about letting your actions do the speaking than how you come up on the team video when you announce that you're playing your first game. So always knew that was going to be a hard task.
Obviously you had a good period there, and the last fortnight's been a bit tougher. What have been some of the learnings that the group has taken away from the last 2 weeks?
Well, the last fortnight hasn't been a bit tougher. We pushed Adelaide to 5 points, and you know, previous to that they'd beaten us by 80 odd. So and the same with Geelong, they'd been giving us some caning. So no, we just feel like we've struck some good teams in the last couple of weeks. You're not going to come out and win 3 in a row and then just continue on. You know, it's we've played teams that are trying to play in finals. They've got a lot to play for, and you know, we still need to take our game up a few more notches, and that's a lesson we've learned over the last couple of weeks. If we want to beat those really good teams, we need to be harder for longer.
You've spoken in the last couple of weeks about that you're really almost proud of the fact that sides are now doing their homework on you guys and got plans in place to counteract your strengths. How have you found that, and how have you found that the side's been reacting to that over the last few weeks?
Well, you know, I guess what's happening to us is what happens to most sides most weeks now, which is a good thing, and it's proof that we're improving. So we take that as a positive, and we know that as we grow as a footy team, teams are going to do more and more homework, and we have to get better and better to beat them. And that's the game every week. There's a lot of homework put into AFL footy by you know, the 10 coaches or so that are at every club. So the game's analysed to death, and we all go into games knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses with plans to counteract, etc. So I think it's a good position for us to be in, and it's great that we've made that progress, that now we get a bit more respect than we did previously.
Can you over-analyse? You get a bit too carried away with analysing the opposition?
Oh, sometimes you can. I mean, you always try to keep the balance with your players. You know, us coaches probably look at it more closely than what actually gets presented to the players. We just try to play our way, basically, with a couple of little things to stop the opposition and try and back our system in against the opposition. So that's pretty much how it works.
But they've drawn a line and, you know, and said for the last few weeks we want to do this, we want to
No, we haven't really talked about it in that vein. We just sort of go week to week. We reset some goals after our bye, some things we wanted to try and achieve in the second half of the year, statistically, which we're well and truly on track with. But no, other than that, it's really a week to week process.
And how'd you see Harris's return? It wasn't an easy assignment against the form forward of the competition.
Oh yeah, well Harris played a fair bit of the game on Hawkins, but you know I've always believed for the backs, particularly the key backs, that the pressure upfield is critical to their chances of negating the opposition forward. And there were just some moments in that game where Geelong's delivery and the pressure we were able to put on wasn't good enough, and he was able to be laced out. But he's doing that to most defenders at the moment. He's in great form. So and for Harris to come in after 4 or 5 weeks out and play on him, that's a pretty difficult task. So he'll be better for the run, and we'll be a better team again this week because he's had that one game under his belt.
A few moments where he did, go back with the flight and threw himself in again. It was just amazing to see.
No.
What was your feeling when you watched that sort of unfold? Did you get a bit more than you normally would have?
No, not really. No? I was sort of more interested to see how he'd be, but he didn't hesitate. So it's a great sign of his courage.
How are your young guys faring physically? When you make your debut, there's all that enthusiasm and adrenaline, but a lot of them now are sort of 20 games into their career, deep into their first season. Is it starting to take its toll with the AFL footy?
You mean physically? Are they getting tired?
Physically, mentally, a bit draining?
Look, we try and make sure we keep them fresh. We don't train them into the ground. We do some different things throughout the year to try and spread that out across the season. I haven't seen any signs at this point that they're flagging. So no, but it's a good question to ask. It can happen to young teams, but we do all we can to make sure that they have energy across the course of the season.
Just quickly, can I get your thoughts on the Lynch situation down there? I mean, is it sad that Queensland AFL, I suppose, to be pedantic about it, loses someone of his stature?
Yeah, it is. I think it's disappointing for Gold Coast Suns, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. If he ends up at one of the top sides in Melbourne, it begs the question about whether the free agency is really working. Because what's tended to happen over the last few years is the better free agents have gone to the clubs that are in the premiership windows, and that was never the way that it was intended. It was always intended to help even the competition out, but the way that it's panned out, that isn't the way that it's been working. So I think from a competition perspective, it's something the AFL need to look at really closely, and they're very keen to even up the competition and have every team win 11 games and lose 11 games. Well, at the moment it's not a level playing field, and that's the sort of battle a team like Gold Coast Suns has been up against, and Brisbane too, for guys leaving the club, seeking to go and play at clubs that there are a chance to win premierships. So I'd be without a doubt they'd be disappointed about that.
How would you feel if one of your captains was speaking to other clubs during the season? Is that something that we need to look at in the way that it portrays? And it does play out in the media, we know. It's not a great look. How would you feel if you're in that situation?
Yeah, it's a difficult one though, because players do move and they have managers, and clubs and people talk to each other, and I don't think you can stop that. It's just the way it rolls. What you've got to try and do, and what we've been trying to do here, is make your club a good enough place that your blokes just don't want to go. That's the only bit of control that we have over it, so we'll continue to focus on that.
Does it make sense to sort of step him back from the captaincy, given he's not going to play the rest of the year and he has indicated that he's going to go back to Melbourne and wants to head home?
Yeah, I think that's logical. Yeah.